Two fingers plus three fingers makes a hand. Simple, right? Not in Elden Ring. There, this gesture hides a cosmic riddle. Could the greater will and the frenzied flame have once been one? Is it even possible to merge order with chaos? These were the questions, but then Libra arrived, the equilibrious beast, a balancing force. His staff holds a hand at its beak, as if to say, yes, it can be done. But Elden Ring is never that simple, especially when your prophet is a demon, a liar, a deceiver, a creature born from the eighth circle of Dante's inferno, inspired by the demon Baphomet himself. And yet, I believe Libra holds the final piece of the puzzle. The way his description talks about counterfeit gold and how it causes madness is the final piece to the one great puzzle, because it can make us understand the different types of gold found in the lands between. In Elden Ring, there are mainly four types of gold: the primordial gold of the crucible, the gold of the greater will, the unalloyed gold of Miquella, and the counterfeit gold of the frenzied flame. It's common knowledge at this point that Elden Ring is heavily influenced by Hermeticism and alchemy. The main character, Queen Marika, is a divine rebus, the physical manifestation of the Philosopher's Stone. In alchemy, gold was considered divine. Turning metals into gold wasn't about profit, it was a mean of ascension, a mean to reach the divine. In order to reach gold, alchemists needed to refine something called the prima materia, translated to prime matter in English. But the problem was how to refine the prima materia into gold. So what is the prima materia? The prima materia is a primordial formless base of all matter. It's the undifferentiated starting material from which all other substances are derived. Think of it as a chaotic, unformed potential from which the universe and everything within it eventually emerges. Therefore, we need to refine that chaotic primordial matter to get gold. And this is where the different types of gold in Elden Ring comes into play. Primordial gold is the prima materia of Elden Ring. Ordovis's great sword states that its red tint exemplifies the nature of primordial gold, said to be close in nature to life itself. And the gilded great shield states that the red tinge in the gold coat mirrors the primordial matter that became the earth tree, the color of homeward yearning. So the red tinge is the signature of primordial gold, and the primordial gold is the matter that became the earth tree. But we know that the crucible is what became the earth tree. That makes the primordial gold the building block of the crucible, and therefore the building block of life itself. That's why the description states that it's close in nature to life itself. And just like the prima materia in alchemy, the crucible is the source of life in the lands between. It's where all life was blended together. It's chaotic because life is chaotic. This is evident by the aspects of the crucible. The crucible randomly blesses individuals with a random aspect of life. Sometimes a horn, a tail, a feather, and sometimes all of them combined. Like the mother of all crucibles that was rumored to have sprouted on the body of giants a long time ago. Just like the prima materia in alchemy, primordial gold is chaotic and without direction. So we need to refine it in order to make use of it. But how do we actually refine this primordial matter? How do we change primordial gold into normal gold? Because we know that it happened to the crucible. We know that the earth tree took hold of the power of the crucible and transformed its red-tinted gold into normal gold. But how exactly do we get those different types of gold? The key word here is unalloyed. Miquella's unalloyed gold had been a mystery for a long time. The word unalloyed is easy to explain in real life, but in Elden Ring, it's way different. In real life, unalloyed gold is found naturally on Earth, but we can't use it to make useful stuff since it's really soft. So from the dawn of time, humans tried to mix gold with different materials to improve it. This is an alloy. A famous alloy is rose gold, which looks similar to the primordial gold in Elden Ring. This is made through mixing gold with copper, but is that what primordial gold is in Elden Ring? No, I believe gold isn't alloyed with other metals in Elden Ring, it's alloyed with concepts. In Shadow of the Earth Tree we get the minor Earth Tree incantation. It reads as follows. Secret incantation of Queen Marika, only the kindness of gold without order. Creates a small illusory earth tree that continuously restores the HP of nearby allies. Marika bathed the village of her home in gold, knowing full well that there was no one to heal. You see now how Marika removed order from gold and therefore only kindness remained. It shows how gold is actually alloyed with different concepts. The gold we get from the greater will is alloyed with order. So if you unalloyed it through removing order from it, only kindness remains. And this explains the unalloyed gold of Miquella. We know that Miquella abandoned Golden Order fundamentalism as it couldn't help his sister Melania with rot. That's when Miquella started to search for something that could help his sister with keeping rot at bay. He needed something that can ward off the influence of the outer gods. That's when he unalloyed gold. Now if gold is alloyed through the influence of the gods, then unalloying gold equals removing their influence. And therefore it becomes logical that his unalloyed gold is able to ward off the influence of outer gods. And it can also explain one of the reasons he was called Miquella the Kind. As we said, when Marika removed order from gold, only kindness remained. We can learn something similar from the description of Leda's rune. It reads as follows. Blessing of Needle Knight Leda, an unalloyed light that has never dwelled in an eye. Miquella gifted Leda with gentle gold to bring a soft hue to her faded eyes. The word gentle gold in the description fits so well with the kindness of gold without order. Now what about the other types of gold? How are those alloyed? As I already said, primordial gold is a primordial matter that became the crucible. It's the prima materia that all life in the lands between came from. It's chaotic in nature. But what happened to the crucible? We know that the crucible is a primordial form of the earth tree. So the crucible became the earth tree. Red tinted gold became normal gold. But what is the earth tree? According to the Earth Tree's protection incantation, the Earth Tree is the embodiment of order, and the Echoes of Marika states the following. The Earth Tree governs all. The choice is thine. Become one with the order, or divest thyself of it. We also know that the Earth Tree is deeply connected to the Elden Ring. Every depiction of the Earth Tree shows the Elden Ring embedded in its center. And we know that the Earth Tree trembled when Marika shattered the Elden Ring, showing how deeply connected they are. But what is the Elden Ring? The Elden Ring is the Elden Beast, and the Elden Beast is a vassal beast of the Greater Will and the living incarnation of the concept of order. We can see now how the primordial gold of the Crucible became the gold of the Earth Tree. It was alloyed with the concept of order. By imposing order on the chaotic primordial gold, it was transformed into normal gold. And this is exactly what happened to the One Great. As above, so below. This is a key principle in Hermeticism. This principle claims that there is a direct connection between the macrocosm and the microcosm. Essentially, the laws and phenomena present in one realm are mirrored in others. This means that patterns, structures, and processes found in the universe, the macrocosm, are also reflected in the smaller scale of human experience and the physical world, the microcosm. And this is true in Elden Ring. If we analyze the One Great and the Crucible, we will find that they are the same in essence. Life was blended in both of them, and then life emerged from them. Both of them were chaotic in nature, but one resulted in the macrocosm and one resulted in the microcosm. From that perspective, we can deduce that what happened to the crucible in the lands between happened to the one great. The greater will wanted to make life, so he needed to refine primordial gold into normal gold. But the chaotic blended primordial gold in the one great posed an issue to the greater will. Therefore, he needed to remove chaos from it and alloy it with order. When this happened, the chaotic life attained direction, and life as we know it started to form in an orderly manner. So to recap, primordial gold is a primordial matter behind life itself. It was the matter that made up the one great and the crucible. The greater will alloyed the one great with order, and his agent, the Elden Beast, alloyed the crucible with order as well. This resulted in the gold we see today in the lands between. Gold alloyed with order. Mikola wanted to minimize the influence of the outer gods, and so he unalloyed gold. He removed order from it, and only the kindness of gold remained. Now let's talk about the fourth type of gold, counterfeit gold. After Libra was introduced, we got some really important insights about the frenzied flame nature, specifically that madness is caused by counterfeit gold. And this is a problem with Libra and the frenzied flame. They lack real gold. Now I believe we need to make a distinction between primordial chaos and the frenzied flame. As I said, life itself is naturally chaotic, and the primordial chaos inside the one great is natural. I believe when the one great was shattered, that's when the frenzied flame appeared into existence, cause and effect. And we know that the whole purpose of the frenzied flame is to return life to its original form, to return it back into the one great, or primordial gold. If the greater will alloyed primordial gold through removing chaos and imposing order, then reintroducing chaos to gold would revert that process. But the frenzied flame can't produce primordial gold because they lack real gold. The divine matter that you need to alloy is missing. Therefore, they are trying to mimic it through counterfeit gold, but counterfeit gold causes madness. That's why the frenzied flame causes madness. So they needed another way. Instead of trying to produce primordial gold, they had to corrupt existing gold. For a long time I have wondered, why does the frenzied flame requires a lord? Why can't Shapiri melt the world, or even anyone with the frenzied flame powers? Why do they need an Elden Lord, a tarnished like us, or Vike? I think it's tied with the nature of the tarnished and our journey through the lands between to become an Elden Lord. In real life, pure gold found in nature cannot tarnish, while alloyed gold, which we usually use in our daily life, can actually tarnish. As I said, Marika's gold is alloyed with order, and therefore it can tarnish. We see this with our own eyes in Elden Ring, not just in our playable character, but we can even see it when we take a closer look at the ancient dragons. The once golden dragons lost their luster over time. If we take a close look at the wounds of the ancient dragons, we can see gold clearly under their skin, while the ancient dragon Fortisax is a hard proof of the brilliance of the ancient dragons, as he retained much of his golden color. Speaking of losing luster and regaining it, we must mention the weapon, Euphoria. A weapon made from golden shoots, largely wilted and darkened, but its luster can be restored by attacking. This weapon and its description becomes way more important if you look at it side by side to the tarnished. Just like Euphoria, the tarnished lost their luster, but it can be restored. So how does Euphoria work? Why does attacking restore its luster? The key word is, however, damage dealt to those who live in death will have no such effect. We can deduce from the weapon's description that it sucks the life force of enemies. That's why it can restore its luster through attacking, but those who live in death doesn't have a life force to suck. This isn't something new because the Earth Tree works in a similar manner to Euphoria. The Earth Tree also feeds on the dead and rebirths them. And just like Euphoria, the Earth Tree can't make use of those who live in death. Now what do we do in our entire journey in the lands between? In order to become strong enough to become an Elden Lord, we gather runes. And what are runes? They are gold. So we gather gold so we can restore our luster. We gather gold to refine ourselves. This fits so well with the alchemical aspect of Elden Ring. Remember when I talked about the prima materia and how refining that primordial matter can yield us gold? I believe our entire journey is a physical representation of this concept, with the end goal being ascension. You ascend to become the pinnacle of gold and order as the Elden Lord. The Talisman of Lord's Bestowal states that, no wonder, Lord of the Earth Tree casts a long shadow over the lands. At the end of the game, we finally reach the Earth Tree and become the Elden Lord. At that point, you are true gold alloyed with order. Now what if we introduce chaos to that combination? If we did that, then we solved the problem of the frenzied flame. If we add chaos to gold plus order, then we can ascend to a higher plane. We can ascend to the one great. I believe that's why at that point we can melt everything and return back to the original state of being, as we ourselves became the one great in a way. As Alchemy states, as above, so below. And now I say, as below, so above. This fits so well with the description of the Knight of the Demon Relic. It states that, for anything to reach a higher plane, each side must elevate the other. And this exactly what happened during the Frenzied Flame ending. Now after establishing all of this, let's see if Libra is truly in equilibrium. As we already established, in order to be in equilibrium, you need an alloy of gold, order, and chaos. At first glance, Libra seems to have achieved this balance. He uses both frenzy and golden holy incantations. But upon further investigation, his holy incantations aren't really golden. His holy incantations inflicts madness, which means that they are counterfeit as well, since counterfeit gold causes madness. Libra's lack of gold poses a serious problem for him, and it shows. During certain expeditions, there is a chance that Libra's raid will happen. If this happens, you will be inflicted with a curse, and 99% of the time, the only way to uplift this curse is through paying Libra a large sum of runes. But why runes? I already answered, because runes is gold. It seems like Libra is trying to gather runes to compensate for his lack of gold. Going back to Libra's fight, it seems he is trying to balance order and chaos. But again, upon further investigation, this isn't the case. One of the unique mechanics of Libra is his meditation. It seems he is trying to calm himself and tame the frenzied flame. If he succeeded, he will get a buff, and if you stop him, he will enter rage mode. But is he truly trying to tame the frenzied flame? The Knight of the Demon Relic answers this question. One of the perks of the relic causes madness buildup when using the gesture crossed legs, which is Libra's meditation pose. So in reality, when Libra is meditating, he is building up more madness. And this falls in line with the fact that nobody was ever able to control the frenzied flame. As the incantation Frenzied Burst states, even the golden stones that you can pick during Libra's fight aren't holy items. Yes, they reduce madness buildup, but this is actually present in the base game. In the base game, they are called clarifying boluses, and they are made from frenzied flowers. So despite Libra trying to portray himself as the equilibrious beast, he isn't truly in equilibrium. Everything he does is building up more madness inside of him. And instead of ascending to a higher plane, he is descending into more and more madness. And it fits really well with how he is described. A liar, a counterfeiter, and an impostor. And as his description states, those who foment madness are sure to succumb to the self-same malady in the end. But this is just the tip of Libra's iceberg. We need to ask ourselves more questions. Why does counterfeit gold actually causes madness? And why is Libra portrayed as a demon? I believe to answer those questions, we need to look at Dante's Inferno. Let's start with why does counterfeit gold causes madness. I believe the inspiration comes straight from Dante's Divine Comedy, specifically the part known as Dante's Inferno, written by the notorious Italian poet Dante Alighieri. In his poem, he imagined his descent to the depth of hell. He categorized hell into 9 circles. Each circle houses a certain type of sinners, and he also described the punishment associated with those sins. Each time Dante descended to a deeper circle, the sins became worse, and so did the punishment. From lust and gluttony in the upper circles, to violence and heresy in the middle, all the way down to fraud and treachery near the bottom. It all culminates in the 9th and the final circle, where Lucifer himself resides. But just above Lucifer lies the 10th ditch of the 8th circle. This circle is called the Malibulge, or evil ditches in English. Each ditch is reserved for a certain type of fraud. The deeper you go, the worse it gets, until you reach the final ditch, just above the final circle of hell. This ditch is reserved for falsifiers, those who attempted to alter things through lies or alchemy. The ditch houses alchemists, imposters, counterfeiters, and liars. Does those traits remind you of someone? Oh hell no, not me, I meant Libra for God's sake. Jokes aside, Libra is literally the personification of all of those traits. Let's read his description together. A goat-headed being who pretends to be a man, said to be able to use a dubious form of alchemy. Counterfeit gold causes loss of sanity, beckoning madness. However, those who foment madness are sure to succumb to the self-same malady in the end. Libra is a liar too. One of the most interesting mechanics in Night Rain is Libra's bargain. He appears as a scale-bearing merchant and offers you what seems like a collection of great benefits, but he's a liar. Each one of those benefits come with a hefty cost that he doesn't tell you. He is also an impostor, appearing as a scale-bearing merchant and concealing his true identity as a demon. And that's why Libra's connection to the 8th circle is so important. Because in Dante's Inferno, sinners are punished through a concept called contrabasso in Latin, or to suffer the opposite in English. According to this concept, the punishment often highlights the opposite of the sin's nature, or serves as a symbolic reflection of it. For instance, fortune tellers who try to see the future through forbidden means are punished by having their heads turned backward, forced to look only at the past. And if we apply this concept to Elden Ring, you will immediately understand why counterfeit gold causes madness, and why Libra appears as a vile demon. They were trying to ascend to a higher plane through mimicking gold, the precious divine matter that the entire universe was composed of. But instead of ascending, they were punished through the opposite. Instead of ascending, they were punished by descending more and more into madness. Instead of becoming something more divine, Libra was turned into a vile demon to portray the vile nature of his actions. The same happened in Dante's Inferno, where falsifiers were punished through madness and illness, a punishment for the mind and a punishment for the body. Now I will dive deeper into the secrets of Libra's appearance in a minute. But before that, I want to say that Dante's Inferno doesn't just explain Libra. It can even recontextualize one of the most hated sections of the base game, the descent into the frenzied flame proscription. Like many people, I always hated this section of the game. I literally died to it more than I died to the final boss. But when I was preparing this video over the span of the last month, I went to take some footage. And after discovering the relation between the frenzied flame and Dante's inferno, I actually started to feel like this entire section is mimicking the descent of Dante into the depths of hell, where you can see the punishment and horrors all over until you reach the 8th circle, where the falsifiers like the frenzied flame resides. But to support this even more, we need to look at the 9th circle of hell, treachery. The worst of sins according to Dante's philosophy, the circle where the most famous betrayers resides, Cain, Judas, and of course Lucifer himself. Now the interesting part is that you can go even deeper from the frenzied flame prescription. You can actually reach the deep root depth from there by attacking an illusory wall. And what do we find in the deep root depth? The nameless eternal city. The city that was destroyed because of their betrayal. The Nox betrayed the greater will, and as punishment, they were sent to the depth. This really seals the deal for me that this whole platforming section was designed after Dante's Inferno, and when you view it that way, it becomes much more enjoyable. Just some fun hidden lore that I wanted to share with you guys. Now let's return to Libra and his Everdark Sovereign mysteries. After Everdark Sovereign Libra was released, it became even more puzzling, specifically when he enters phase 2 and split his chest open to reveal a cluster of eyes. This is reminiscent of Radagon and the Elden Ring as well as Hulstor. But what does it mean? Was Libra actually able to falsify a form of the Elden Ring? Or perhaps it's more symbolic. I believe in order to explain it, we need to look at the origins of Libra. Where did he come from? Because Libra isn't really your typical Elden Ring character. If anything, he looks more like a Dark Souls boss than an Elden Ring boss. I believe this is actually the case. On Libra's back, we can find a spiral symbol reminiscent of Dark Souls 2 Dark Sign. And on his staff, we see an illustration of a woman incredibly reminiscent of the wife of the protagonist of Dark Souls 2. And to seal the deal, Libra can actually give you the symbol of avarice. To me, it feels like Libra was originally someone from the Dark Souls universe. Even the usage of the word demon fits Dark Souls much more than Elden Ring. After this established, I think we can use it to explain the open chest. The symbol of avarice here is a big clue. The open chest, pun totally intended, symbolizes extreme greed, insatiable greed for material possession. While another important enemy in Dark Souls is the Gaping Dragon, which made an appearance in Night Rain as well. The Gaping Dragon was a dragon who suffered from extreme starvation. This led to some physical changes. The Gaping Dragon chest was split open to consume more prey. The split chest here symbolizes insatiable hunger. We can see now how an open chest in Dark Souls symbolizes insatiable desire. Sometimes it's insatiable greed and sometimes it's insatiable hunger. But in the case of Libra, it's the insatiable desire for knowledge. His open chest reveals eyes, which is the common symbol for knowledge or insight. You gotta love your Bloodborne lore. So at the end, Libra's open chest is showing how hungry he is for knowledge. Knowledge that he can't reach at times, and even if he did, he will never be sated. Libra is truly one of the best designed bosses in the history of FromSoft. Like and subscribe if you enjoyed this video. And hopefully I have answered all of your questions. If not, you can tell me in the comment section down below. Until next video, farewell, fellow Tarnished.